Pere calls for more cinema screens in Nigeria.
Sexual unfulfillment is just an excuse for an affair.
Well, have you considered that this may be the best that Dave has to offer?
I plan to bring out the beast in my man.
Reality TV star Pere, in an interview with HIPTV, called for an increase in the number of cinema screens in Nigeria. He pointed out that the United States boasts over 5,000 cinema screens, leading to a prolific production of cinema movies. Pere asserted that if Nigeria expands its cinema screen count beyond the popular Film One and Genesis, it would incentivize numerous movie producers to contribute more cinema films to the thriving entertainment industry. In his words,
Nigerians are imbibing that cinema culture, but I still think that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of cinema. Because, if we were to compare cinema screens that we have in the country, kudos to Film One, Film House, kudos to Genesis. Those are the two juggernauts right now when it comes to cinema in Nigeria. We need more cinema screens, actually. We do need a lot more. I think America has over 5,000. Nigeria, we have, I think, a little bit under, I think it's right around 70-something. So we got a long way to go. But I believe that when all of that happens, it will encourage a lot more people to go into cinemas and encourage filmmakers to actually make more films that would show in cinemas, because the business side of it too, we got to consider all of that going. But I do think in terms of telling our own stories, yes, it's good to tell our own stories. It's also good to tell stories that cuts across cultural backgrounds, stories that other people from every other culture can relate to. Is also great as well, to do that while telling our stories. You watch a Hollywood film, you watch Marvel, you watch these Marvel films. They're not real, but they make billions simply because it's very entertaining. And now you find a little kid wanting to be Superman. You find the little boy in the street in Africa. They told our story. Look at them. What do you call that? The film, Black Panther. They had the whole thing originate from Africa, telling us that could have been some guy in Africa or producer thought about that stuff and did that. But of course, they did that over there. And look, we should tell our stories, but at the same time to also tell stories that every other person from across cultures around the world could also relate to, 100%.
Any of these, but I did it because you wanted.
That woman came to you for help and you're taking advantage of her.
The reality TV star, now a producer, discussed his recent cinematic release, The Silent Intruder. He disclosed that he had the script well before participating in the Big Brother Naija show. He had intended to film it in the United States but opted to shoot it in Nigeria after he exited Big Brother house. According to him,
I love to talk about The Silent Intruder a lot, simply because this particular movie 6 years ago, actually 7 years ago, I had the story. I was driving one very humid afternoon in the streets of America, in Houston. And while driving, the story just hit me. The idea for the story hit me. But of course, the story is actually based, or rather inspired, on true events that had occurred, most of which are from people that I actually have some form of relationship with, or no, rather not relationship, but we just know each other. So when I got the hang of that story, I was like, you know what, I would have to get this screenplay. My initial plan was to film The Silent Intruder as an American film, to film it in America at the time. So I reached out to a screenwriter based in Los Angeles who writes for the likes of Screen Gems and Paramount Pictures. Of course, you know about Paramount Pictures. So she was like, okay, well, we were going back and forth emails and stuff. So long story short, we had the story broken down, and she was going to begin screenwriting. So she wrote it. She wrote it the way she wrote it. It was amazing. So fast forward years later, I decided, okay, I'll just put this down first and focus on other things. But then Big Brother happened. After Big Brother, I'm like, I think I need to do this film. So I went back again to the writer. We had to readjust a few things because I was going to now film this in Nigeria. And we had it done. Now, the story itself is something that every single woman can relate to. Every single woman can relate to it. If you've seen the trailer, you would understand. The lady says she's not sexually satisfied. I mean, these are issues that are in several marriages, and these are issues that most couples or people in relationships would not want to discuss, simply because the women are feeling, okay, they don't want to hurt the ego of the men, and then the women are feeling that if they embrace their sexuality in full, they'll be judged as being whores. That's not right. This film actually sheds light on that and encourages women to embrace their sexuality, but also encourages couples to be more transparent in their communication with each other when it comes to the issues of discussing sexual relations. And of course, sexual satisfaction, because truth be told, a lot of people actually, marriages and relationships actually disintegrate due to just that one small factor. Besides money, sex is important.
You love him, but you're not in love with him. And he's certainly not in love with you.